Before you spend that pocket change, take a closer look. Some ordinary-looking coins, whether pennies, nickels, dimes, or quarters, hide rare dates, mint marks, and minting errors that make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That small coin in your hand could actually be a hidden treasure. The 1988 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that almost everyone has seen or handled at some point, a small copper-plated piece that blended in with billions of others produced that year. At first glance, it seems like nothing more than another Lincoln cent, the kind that ends up in change jars, cash registers, and the bottom of pockets. But in the world of numismatics, where collectors and historians study the fine details of coins, the 1988 penny holds much more interest than most people would ever imagine. Between its design, minting process, condition rarity, and the discovery of dramatic errors and die varieties, this coin can become a fascinating and valuable collectible, proving once again that even the smallest piece of currency has the potential to hold hidden treasures. The Lincoln cent itself is the longest-running coin design in United States history, first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse portrait of Lincoln was created by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB famously appeared on the earliest issues. Over the decades, the coin became an American icon, representing not only Lincoln's legacy, but also the everyday reality of American commerce. By 1988, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo and introduced in 1959, had already been in use for nearly 30 years. Millions of people carried the Lincoln Memorial penny daily, and its image was as familiar as Lincoln himself. The obverse of the 1988 penny displays Lincoln's bust facing right, with the inscriptions "Liberty" and "I in God We Trust" around him, and the date 1988 just to the right of his portrait. Depending on where it was struck, the coin carries a mint mark, no mark for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for the San Francisco proof issues. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial in sharp detail, with the words United States of America and E pluribus unum above, and 1 cent below. The design captures the grandeur of the national monument, with tiny details so precise that with magnification you can see the statue of Lincoln inside the memorial itself. The composition of the 1988 cent was copper-plated zinc, a change that had been made just a few years earlier in 1982. Rising copper prices had forced the mint to abandon the 95% copper alloy that had been used since 1909. Instead, the new cents featured a zinc core with a thin copper plating, a cost-saving move that also created new challenges for coinage. These copper-plated zinc cents sometimes developed bubbling, blistering, or plating issues, adding to the list of minor errors collectors encounter in the series. Mintages of the 1988 penny were massive, reflecting the huge demand for 1-cent coins in circulation. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 6.1 billion coins, while the Denver Mint struck more than 5.2 billion. The San Francisco Mint added around 3 million proof cents for collectors. With totals like these, it is no surprise that the 1988 penny remains common in circulation today, and most examples are worth just face value. However, what makes this coin fascinating is not its abundance but the rare exceptions, those struck in pristine condition or with unusual errors that set them apart from the billions of ordinary pieces. Condition rarity plays a huge role in the value of 1988 pennies. Circulated coins with scratches, nicks, and dull surfaces are everywhere, but finding an uncirculated example with original red luster and minimal marks can be challenging. Coins graded MS67 red by professional grading services have brought auction prices ranging from a few hundred to over $1,000, depending on their eye appeal. Proof coins with perfect PR70 deep cameo surfaces have also drawn strong collector interest, sometimes selling in the $200 to $400 range. But perhaps the most exciting aspect of the 1988 cent lies in its varieties and errors. One of the most famous is the 1988 double die, particularly visible on the obverse with doubling in the date, Liberty, or I in God We Trust. Dramatic double die examples can command strong premiums, from several $100s up into the thousands, depending on grade. Collectors prize these varieties because they are clear evidence of die misalignment during production. Another highly collectible variety is the 1988 reverse of 1989, sometimes called the transitional reverse. On some 1988 cents, the reverse design was struck using a hub intended for the following year's coins. The key diagnostic is in the FG initials of Frank Gasparo, located at the base of the memorial. On the transitional reverse, the G has a distinct shape compared to the normal 1988 reverse. This variety is very scarce and can bring anywhere from $100 to over $1,000, especially in high grades, as collectors hunt for these transitional anomalies that mark important shifts in minting. Other errors add even more variety. Off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted, can be worth $50 to $200 depending on the degree of the misalignment and whether the date is still visible. Broad strikes, missing clad layers, and die cracks also appear among 1988 issues and can draw premiums from collectors who enjoy these minting oddities. Dramatic clipped planchets, where part of the coin's edge is missing, often sell for $25 to $100, while wrong planchet strikes, if a 1988 cent was struck on a dime or foreign planchet, can soar into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Auction results highlight the surprising value potential of this humble coin. A 1988 cent graded MS67 red by PCGS or NGC has brought strong prices, with some sales crossing $1,500. A 1988 D transitional reverse variety in high grade sold at auction for several $1,000s, sparking increased interest among collectors in finding examples in circulation. Double die obverse examples have also drawn four-figure bids, especially when paired with pristine condition. These sales prove that while billions of 1988 pennies are still worth just 1 cent, the rare exceptions are highly desirable treasures. The 1988 penny also represents an interesting time in U.S. coinage history. It was part of the era when copper-plated zinc cents were still relatively new, and the mint was refining its processes to deal with the challenges of the new composition. It was also a few years before the major redesign of the reverse in 2009 to mark Lincoln's bicentennial, meaning the 1988 cent sits squarely in the long run of the Lincoln Memorial design. Collectors today view it as part of the broader story of Lincoln cents, but also as a reminder that transitional errors, die varieties, and minting mistakes are always possible, even in the modern era. For collectors, the 1988 penny is an appealing coin to study. Beginners can easily find examples in circulation or bulk lots, while advanced numismatists can chase after high-grade registry pieces, double dies, and the coveted transitional reverse. Every discovery adds excitement, whether it's a proof coin with flawless cameo contrast or an error coin with a dramatic minting mishap. So the next time you spot a 1988 penny in your change, take a closer look. At first it may seem like nothing more than 1 cent, but with the right details, a transitional reverse, a double die, or pristine uncirculated surfaces, it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. And that's what makes numismatics so captivating. These small coins, often dismissed as common and ordinary, can carry stories of history, artistry, and hidden value. The 1988 Lincoln cent is a perfect reminder that treasures can be found in the most unexpected places, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of knowledge to recognize them. The 2000 United States 1 cent penny is one of those coins most people hardly notice when it passes through their hands. It's small, copper-colored, and so common that millions of Americans see it every day without ever stopping to think about it. But in the world of collectors, even a modern penny like the 2000 cent can turn into something extraordinary under the right conditions. While billions of these coins were struck for circulation, certain examples with remarkable minting errors or preserved in flawless condition have transformed what looks like just a single cent into a collectible worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. To understand the story of the 2000 penny, we need to place it in the timeline of U.S. coinage. The penny had already featured Abraham Lincoln's portrait for over 90 years by the time 2000 arrived. Victor David Brenner's classic design, first introduced in 1909, still graced the obverse of the coin, showing Lincoln's profile facing right with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 2000. The mint mark, depending on where the coin was struck, appears just below the date, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco proofs. The reverse design in 2000 was the Lincoln Memorial, a design that had been in use since 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial reverse, created by Frank Gasparo, depicts the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., with the denomination 1 cent and United States of America above it, flanked by the national motto E pluribus unum. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside the memorial, a fascinating detail that has long intrigued collectors. By 2000, the composition of the penny had already changed from its early copper form. Since 1982, pennies have been made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, weighing 2.5 grams each. This change was made to reduce costs when the price of copper rose, but it also introduced new possibilities for mint errors, such as incomplete plating, missing plating, or dramatic color variations, many of which make the 2000 penny interesting to collectors today. Billions of 2000 pennies were struck at Philadelphia and Denver, with proof issues from San Francisco. Because of these massive mintages, most examples you'll find in circulation are only worth their face value. But as with all modern coins, condition and rarity make all the difference. A regular 2000 penny in circulated condition might only be worth 1 cent, but a perfectly preserved example graded MS67 or higher can bring in hundreds of dollars because so few survive in such pristine condition. Let's talk about errors, because that's where the 2000 penny really shines. Collectors love error coins, and the US Mint, even with all of its modern machinery, still produces mistakes from time to time. Some 2000 pennies are known to show dramatic off-center strikes. These coins may have as little as 50% of the design visible, with the rest of the planchet left blank. If the date is still visible, such coins can sell for $150 to $300 or more, depending on severity. Double strikes are another type of error to look for. On these coins, the design appears struck twice, often with a noticeable shift, creating overlapping images of Lincoln's portrait or the memorial on the reverse. Dramatic double strikes on 2000 pennies can bring in several $100s at auction because of their rarity and eye appeal. There are also examples struck on the wrong planchet. Imagine finding a penny that weighs less than it should because it was struck on a dime planchet, or slightly larger because it landed on a foreign coin blank. These unusual minting accidents are highly prized and can sell for $500, $1,000, or even more depending on the error and its condition. Missing clad layer or missing plating errors are especially striking on the 2000 penny. Because these coins are zinc cores coated with copper, sometimes the copper plating is missing on one side, revealing a silvery-colored zinc surface. These errors stand out immediately and are worth anywhere from $100 to $300, sometimes more. Another collector favorite is the clipped planchet error, where part of the coin is cut off in the minting process, leaving a curved bite-like clip in the edge of the penny. A 2000 penny with a large, clean clip can bring $50 to $150. Strike-through errors, where grease, debris, or other foreign material interfered with the strike, leaving unusual marks or missing details, also appear on 2000 pennies and can sell for $25 to $100 depending on how dramatic the effect is. Proof coins from San Francisco add another layer of collectability. These coins, made for collectors with specially polished dies and planchets, show sharp details and mirror-like surfaces. A 2000s proof penny-graded PR70 Deep Cameo can easily bring $100 to $200, while lower-graded proofs are more affordable but still desirable for building sets. Auction results confirm the value of these coins. A 2000D penny-graded MS68 Red has sold for more than $500, reflecting how rare such perfection is in a coin struck by the millions. Off-center error examples from this year have brought in over $200, and missing plating errors have crossed the $300 mark. A few extraordinary wrong planchet errors have sold for over $1,000, proving just how much collectors will pay for unique mistakes from this year. What makes the 2000 penny particularly interesting is its place in history. It was one of the last full decades of the Lincoln Memorial design before the reverse switched to the bicentennial designs in 2009 and then to the shield reverse in 2010. In a way, it represents the closing chapter of an era. Collectors looking back often see these coins not just as common change but as links to a design that defined half a century of US coinage. Imagine holding one of these pennies in your hand. To most people, it's just a cent, maybe even something to drop into a change jar and forget. But to the collector who knows what to look for, it could be something far greater. A small error, a missing layer, a flawless strike. All of these can transform the coin's value and its story. It's a reminder that even in modern coins, treasures are still out there waiting to be discovered. The 2000 US 1 cent penny is more than just pocket change. It's a continuation of the Lincoln tradition, a piece of history, and for the sharp-eyed collector, a potential gem. Whether you're searching for high-grade examples, proof coins, or stunning mint errors, this coin has proven that even in modern times, rarity and condition can create surprising value. So the next time you see a penny dated 2000, don't just dismiss it. Take a closer look, you might just be holding something worth far more than 1 cent. The 2004 United States 1-cent penny is one of those coins that people often overlook, passing it from hand to hand in everyday transactions without much thought. But as collectors know, even the most common-looking pennies can hide incredible stories of value, rarity, and mistakes from the mint that make them highly desirable treasures. The 2004 penny is especially interesting because while billions were produced, it still holds hidden gems in the form of flawless examples and unusual minting errors that can elevate its value far beyond its face worth. The 2004 penny continues the long-running design featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has been used since 1909. Victor David Brenner's portrait of the 16th president shows Lincoln's profile facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above his head, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2004 to the right. Depending on where the coin was struck, you'll also see a mint mark just below the date, D for Denver, P for Philadelphia, and S for San Francisco proofs. The reverse design in 2004 still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a design by Frank Gasparo that had been in use since 1959. Above the image is United States of America. Below it is 1 cent, and the motto E Pluribus Unum is inscribed across the top of the memorial. Collectors often point out that with a magnifying glass, you can actually see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside the memorial, one of those charming design details that make coins like this all the more fascinating composition-wise. The 2004 penny followed the standard formula used since 1982. Instead of being made primarily of copper, these coins are mostly zinc, with a thin copper plating that gives them their familiar reddish-brown color. Each coin weighs 2.5 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. This shift from copper to zinc was done to save money when copper prices rose, but it also opened the door for new types of minting errors that collectors look out for today, such as plating bubbles, missing copper layers, or coins struck on defective blanks in terms of production numbers. The 2004 penny had a massive mintage. Philadelphia struck over 3.4 billion coins, Denver produced more than 3.5 billion, and San Francisco issued proof versions for collectors. With numbers like these, it's no surprise that most 2004 pennies in circulation are only worth face value. But as is always the case in coin collecting, condition and rarity make all the difference. Take, for example, high-grade mint state coins. A 2004 penny in regular circulated condition is just 1 cent, but when you find a flawless example graded MS67 or MS68 read by a service like PCGS or NGC, its value skyrockets. Collectors are willing to pay hundreds of dollars for such coins because they are so hard to find without scratches, spots, or imperfections. In fact, some auction results show that 2004 pennies graded MS68 red have sold for more than $400, making them far more valuable than anyone would expect for such a recent coin. Now let's talk about what really excites collectors: mint errors. The 2004 penny has its share of fascinating mistakes. One of the most desirable is the off-center strike. These errors occur when the coin blank isn't properly aligned in the press, causing the design to be struck off to one side. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value, especially if the date is still visible. A 2004 penny with an off-center error can sell anywhere from $75 to $250 depending on how dramatic the shift is. Another incredible error is the double strike. These coins were struck twice, often with a noticeable misalignment, leaving two overlapping images of Lincoln's portrait or parts of the memorial on the reverse. Dramatic double strikes are rare and can easily bring in hundreds of dollars at auction. Then there are wrong planchet errors. Sometimes a penny is mistakenly struck on a dime or even a foreign coin blank. These errors are highly sought after because they are so unusual. A 2004 penny struck on a dime planchet, for example, would appear smaller and lighter than usual, with parts of the design missing. Such coins have been known to sell for over $1,000, depending on condition. Missing plating errors are also a hallmark of post-1982 pennies, including those from 2004. Because these coins are copper-plated zinc, sometimes the plating process fails, leaving the silvery zinc core exposed on one or both sides. These coins are visually striking and highly collectible. A 2004 penny with missing plating can bring anywhere from $100 to $300, depending on how dramatic the error is. Clipped planchet errors also occur on 2004 pennies, where part of the coin is cut off during production, leaving a curved or straight clip on the edge of the coin. These errors can fetch $50 to $150 at auction. Strike-through errors, where debris, grease, or other foreign material gets in the way of the strike, leaving unusual impressions on the coin surface, are also collectible and can sell for $25 to $100 or more. And then there are the proof coins. San Francisco minted special proof pennies in 2004, designed specifically for collectors. These coins are struck with polished dies and planchets, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and razor-sharp details. A 2004 proof penny-graded PR70 Deep Cameo is a stunning piece and can bring in $100 to $200 at auction. Lower-graded proofs are more affordable but still hold collector interest. Auction records bring these values into perspective. A 2004 D penny-graded MS68 Red has sold for around $400, proving that condition is everything when it comes to modern coins. Off-center errors from this year have brought in over $200, while missing plating examples have crossed the $300 mark. More dramatic wrong planchet errors can break the $1,000 barrier, making them some of the most valuable 2004 pennies in existence. It's fascinating to think that coins like the 2004 penny, minted in the billions, could still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars under the right circumstances. It shows that no coin is too common to become special. For collectors, the thrill comes in spotting the small differences, the tiny errors, the flawless surfaces, that turn a penny into a prize. The 2004 penny also holds a place in history. It was one of the last few years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse before the design changed in 2009 to mark Lincoln's bicentennial. That makes it part of the closing chapter of a design that lasted 50 years, from 1959 to 2008. For many collectors, that adds an extra layer of meaning. Imagine picking up a handful of change and spotting a bright, shiny 2004 penny. Most people wouldn't give it a second thought. But to the trained eye, that coin could be a hidden treasure. Maybe it has an off-center strike or a missing copper layer, or maybe it's a perfectly preserved example that could grade at the highest levels. That's the magic of coin collecting, the discovery that something so ordinary could hold such extraordinary value. The 2004 US 1-cent penny is more than just small change. It's a piece of history, a continuation of the Lincoln tradition, and, for the lucky few who find them, a source of real financial value. Whether it's through rare mint errors, flawless high-grade examples, or dazzling proof coins, the 2004 penny proves that even the most common coins have stories to tell and treasures to reveal. The 2016 United States 1-cent penny may seem like just another ordinary coin that slips through your fingers without much thought, but beneath its familiar copper-colored surface lies a story that blends history, artistry, minting technology, and even hidden value. For collectors, the 2016 penny represents both continuity and change, a modern coin that still carries with it over a century of tradition. And for those who know what to look for, it can be far more valuable than its tiny denomination suggests. Let's begin with its design. Like every penny struck since 1909, the obverse of the 2016 coin features the profile of President Abraham Lincoln. This portrait, created by Victor David Brenner, first appeared on the cent more than 100 years earlier, and it still stands as one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage art. On the 2016 version, Lincoln's portrait faces right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 2016, along with the mint mark just below his chin. Depending on where the coin was made, you might find a P for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco proof issues. The reverse of the 2016 penny carries the shield design, introduced in 2010 to replace the Lincoln Memorial reverse that had been used since 1959. The shield is a symbol of national unity and strength, representing the preservation of the United States as a single, enduring union. It is decorated with vertical stripes and topped with a horizontal banner bearing the words e pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. Across the shield is a bold scroll with the denomination 1 cent, and above it the words United States of America are prominently displayed. This design connects Lincoln's legacy to the broader story of the nation's unity, a fitting tribute to the man who led the country through its greatest trial. BY 2016. The penny had long since changed in composition. Since mid-1982, U.S. cents have been made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, weighing 2.5 grams each. This cost-saving measure, while effective for the mint, has created new avenues for collectors to explore. Errors related to plating, such as missing copper layers or unusual surface bubbles, have made modern pennies like the 2016 cent both fascinating and valuable in numismatic circles. The mintage numbers for 2016 were massive, with billions of pennies struck at Philadelphia and Denver. Proof versions were also produced at San Francisco for collectors. With such high mintages, the vast majority of 2016 pennies in circulation are worth only 1 cent. However, as with most coins, the real treasures are found in the rarest conditions and unusual minting errors. Condition plays a huge role in determining the value of the 2016 penny. Circulated examples generally have no premium, but coins that were carefully preserved or pulled from rolls in mint-fresh condition can grade much higher. A 2016 penny in MS67 red or above is a rarity, and certified examples in this grade have sold for impressive prices. At auction, some have fetched over $500, showing how perfection is always in demand among collectors. But what really captures attention are the errors and varieties. Some 2016 pennies exhibit dramatic off-center strikes. These are coins where the blank planchet was misaligned when struck, leaving part of the design missing and part of the surface blank. If the date is still visible, these coins can sell for $100 to $250 depending on the severity of the off-center strike. Double strikes are another sought-after error. In these cases, the coin is struck twice, leaving overlapping images that can be very dramatic. On a 2016 penny, a clear double strike showing doubled features of Lincoln's face or the shield on the reverse can bring several $100s. Wrong planchet errors are particularly exciting. Imagine finding a 2016 penny that was accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin planchet. These unusual mistakes are extremely rare, but they do happen, and when they surface at auction, they can bring thousands of dollars. Missing plating errors are another possibility. Because modern pennies are zinc cores coated with copper, sometimes the plating process fails. A 2016 penny missing its copper layer will appear silvery in color and stand out immediately. These errors can bring $50 to $200 depending on eye appeal and condition. Proof coins struck in San Francisco add another layer of collectability. These are specially made for collectors with polished dies and planchets, giving them mirror-like fields and frosted details. A 2016 S penny graded PR70 deep cameo can easily bring $75 to $150 at auction, reflecting how rare perfection is even in modern proof issues. Lower-graded proofs are more affordable but still desirable for completing sets. Auction records confirm the strength of this market. A 2016 D penny graded MS68 red sold for over $600, showing the premium collectors are willing to pay for such a high grade. Off-center errors from this year have brought in $150 to $200, while missing plating examples have crossed the $300 mark. Even unusual strike-through errors, where grease, cloth, or other materials interfered with the strike, have sold for $100 or more, depending on how dramatic the effect was. The 2016 penny is also part of a modern era of coins that reflects the mint's high-speed, high-volume production methods. While errors are rarer than in earlier decades due to tighter quality controls, when they do happen, they tend to stand out and command strong interest. Collectors love the contrast of finding mistakes in a coin that was supposed to be perfect in a modern technological age. What makes the 2016 penny even more fascinating is its place in numismatic history. It belongs to the shield reverse era, which began in 2010 and continues to the present day. For future collectors, these coins will represent an entire generation of Lincoln cents distinct from the memorial and wheat reverse designs. Just as collectors today look back with fascination at wheat pennies from the early 20th century, tomorrow's collectors will likely see coins like the 2016 penny as part of an important chapter in the story of U.S. coinage. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand. To most people, it's just a penny, something they might toss into a change jar or leave on a countertop. But to a collector who recognizes its significance, it's a piece of living history. Perhaps it's flawless and shimmering in mint red, one of the very few to survive the chaos of circulation. Or perhaps it carries a dramatic error that makes it one of a kind. Either way, the 2016 penny has the potential to be worth far more than its face value. The next time you come across a 2016 penny, don't be so quick to dismiss it. Take a closer look at the details, check its condition, and see if anything unusual stands out. You just might have a coin worth $100, $500, or even more sitting quietly in your pocket change. That's the magic of coin collecting. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, and the smallest coin can tell the biggest story.